Don't you want my information?
See, but he took it into his house.
See, I like
So I
this.
don't know what he did to it.
I like this one because it has a little thing that you can close the camera thing. So I'll put that little lens in front of the camera so they can't see.
You know they have fake ones though too.
Yeah.
I think you got an older one though, huh?
Yeah, this is the older one. See, like that.
I used to think that was crazy. Now I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's why they.
I used to tape mine.
And then I monitor with this one because when I know if my Bluetooth comes on, that means if they tap into certain stuff.
You want to know something really flipping weird? So my phone goes off after like 3 seconds or 4 seconds, 5 seconds, I think. It locks, right? Mm-hmm. This has happened several times, different things. I'm sitting like this, right? And I'm like looking around. And I look down and somebody had videotaped me.
On your phone?
What? Right then. It videotaped me, right? So first of all, you have to give permission for audio. You have to give permission to take a video. Then it flipped it around, plus it unlocked it and started playing it back for me, right? I go to show, my ex-in-laws and my ex, and I'm like, and they're like, what's this? And they're like, you videotaped yourself? I said, no, I don't do any of that. I said, this just started playing. And they're like, so they're looking, guess what? It disappeared. Completely disappeared from the phone. I said, now you think I'm crazy that somebody's not watching? And then there's other times. Oh shit! And I was talking to a girl, right? Phone's right here on the car seat. We're sitting in the car. There's no way it locks. My phone locks. All of a sudden, it starts talking. And I'm like, what? And the light goes on. And she goes, your phone went on. Guess what? It recorded our conversation. And another time it said, that's not nice, because we were talking about, like her sister is a big girl, right? And I was like, well, if you're a big girl, you probably shouldn't be wearing little things for little, it just doesn't look right. You could do it. And it said, that's not nice. The phone told me that's not nice. Then somebody cuts me off in Loveland, right? I said, you fucking bitch. My phone tells me that wasn't very nice. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And they don't think our phones are listening?
Well, I think...
No.
If Snowden, I think Snowden was still a plan in certain way.
Oh, yeah, he was.
But Snowden, he did release a lot of information necessary. Even though, like, it was I'll put it like this. When I learned... I thought that, too. When I learned, like, a lot of the interviews that they do, obviously the CIA and FBI initiated, or they have certain people interview, because when they're trying to exploit certain things, sometimes it's propaganda, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they can alter it, so they'll do certain stuff. But if they want to do hits on those people, they will assign certain people that almost seem trustworthy to them. They don't have to do certain, you know what I'm saying, to interview them. But then I learned that they'll send them to certain people, like Oprah for one. Oprah's one of them people that they use to finalize, you know, saying whether they take out somebody on certain level. There's just certain different stuff, but that's why I'm like these polls are that I'm trying to tell people. And anything with DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, which they call Department of Human Services. Like, why would you call it Department of Human Services? Like, you guys are not people, you know what I'm saying? But it's Department of Homeland Security, which is NSA. You know what I'm saying? Which is CIA, FBI, all that shit. Meaning, if you will.
Believe me, they watch it. I know they do. I know for a fact that they do. I've seen it. I've heard it. These guys did not lie. I mean, they said, it was like, okay, not going to touch it. They said, you see those little clips or you see those in there? If you know what's good for you, don't touch it. And they said they're menacing, like every one that I talked to. These are like straight-laced dudes. I mean, these guys have been there for 40, 50 years. This is like 10, 20, 30 years ago, you know, and they said, no, that stuff is real. And they do come in black. They're in black, you know, like they're like dressed like that. I'm not kidding you. And they said, that is not a joke. They said, it's not a joke. They do tap your phone. I was like, well, I already figured that. I mean, the worst lie was, I'm not the government. I'm getting the government. I'm here to help. I remember what I was going to say. It's easier to fool people than convince them they've been fooled. I couldn't. I always mess that one up, man. Since I heard it.
It came right on
Yeah.
time, man.
Yeah.
See, that's
People just don't understand that they were totally duped by COVID. All the laws that went into effect, all the things, all the changes. That was no accident.
the gun control act. See, the original reason why the gun control act was to stop from an uprising or rebellion. We had some relations with at one point in time in the UK. There's Archon Bauer. He was one of the main leaders of the Yellow Jacket Movement. So the resistance to popes opposing creating government, so on and so forth. Until he went AWOL, dealing with my sister for whatever reason, he joined the Illuminati. And then he got like a whole paper thing put out on it and stuff like that. It was in the papers, trying to find holy grails and all kind of shit. Like my sister, all this shit, fucking dumb. Because he was like full fledged, like fucking cool, but you could tell he still had questions about. It was just weird. But
What was his name?
Arjan Bauer.
I know that somebody was trying to find the Holy Grail.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen a lot of people have tried to find that.
That's just one of their smear campaigns because those who know what it actually represents. And they'll put people that are ignorant on these little things that they'll so-called fun, but looks like a 360 deal with music and stuff like that. They want
Some people are used. Some people are used and they're duped. They don't. They really think
because they're expendable. They're expendable. You know, they only see certain people qualified for certain things, and you have to be part of certain bloodlines for that. And those bloodlines match certain names, dealing with senses and certain stuff like that. Like I've seen where our names and lists for some of our people's names come from, and when I was going and talking to one of these psychotherapist dudes, and I had said, like, I know who I am. You know what I'm saying? Y'all keep trying to tell me who I am. It's like, all my tribes are royal and noble. The way he looked at me like some shit in a horror film, they turned their head real quick. He was like, noble? Like royalty? I'm like, yeah. And then his whole demeanor just fucking changed. Whole demeanor changed. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? So I know certain things to pick up on. But, you know, part of that too is like that all these albino people who think that they're royalty, they're not royalty. They've never been royalty. They will never be royalty. The reason why they went integrated into our tribe was to usurp our part of our heritage and our birthright. But in the eyes of the Most High, He doesn't recognize you as His people. In His eyes, the way that they went about it, from the Holocaust and the deceitful practices with the ones who betrayed their own people, that's considered an abomination of stealing and murder, and so on and so forth. So you have a lot of people who are you know what I'm saying, like 1948 weirdos. The CIA created the land of Israel. Israel was never a land. It's never been a land. It will never be a land. Israel is a certain man. We happen to be descendants, the seed of this man, and his forefathers, and his the other children we had. You know what I'm saying, who are our forefathers, were people of the covenant. You know what I'm saying. And the problem was when other people tried to replace us, and then they classified us over 13 different times, including our lands. They rearranged it through the cartography, all this type of stuff, the maps and stuff like that. And then they have people such as Giovanni Vespucci, who, among other cruising institutions, who would do whole mold casts of different artifacts and stuff like that, and put them in certain places to make them seem like, oh, well, this is the land of Israel, this is the chosen people, just like the Moors were doing. You know what I'm saying? When I did a history on the Moors and the tribal connections and breaking down who's this, I found a lot of information that was very uncomfortable, and for a long time that part I'm like, you know, I'm not a Moor. However, I know that dealing with Moab to a certain extent, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know all my tribes, from the biblical names, if you will, or reinterpreted names, to the names in multiple other languages. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am. I am of the original Maya, Nubia, Hebrew. There's Maya, what people know as Egyptian Hebrew. That Hebrew is a real name. Those fake Khazarians, who are called Israel, and fake Judaism nowadays, they got nothing to do with us. they don't even believe in your Zeus. You know what I'm saying? That a lot of people go into with Christianity and stuff like that. Then a lot of people go into Christianity, talk about Yeshua. Yeshua is Joshua. So what they did was try to take from old texts and writings and stuff like that, plagiarize or rewritten. There's a PDF called Codex Magica, which talks about all these different Bible versions and up to the 1611 version, what a lot of people like to go into in Bible scholars. First of all, none of these people are scholars. None of them are. They're all plants. They're all trained agents. But it talks about skull and bones. It talks about Rothschild and stuff like that. And even the Rothschild nowadays is not the true roots. I trace all of that shit back. We are all those people. It's just the people who broke covenant and betrayed our own people and helped Columbus come over here and help a lot of the Mongol invasions, Mongol wars and stuff like that, help the Spanish and the British, the Germans, which were all melanated peoples. None of them are white people. They've never been that way. That is a reclassification, just like the dumb diversions in Dow's Roads, where they reclassify people, other people, the Mongols, and among other Latinos, so on and so forth, as Mayan, as Native American. And it's like our original names is Turtle Island, Tamariland, or Tamarkand, where the original Maya, Aztec, Lemuria, Atlantean, Tartarian, Hyperborean, Aryan people, the true original proper era people. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is a copycat. When we study genetics on haplogroups and sub-haplogroups and stuff like that, different blood types and DNA types and stuff like that, you find like the genetic markers that'll match people's land source and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Their regions and stuff. But the deeper you go study the certain caves and temples and stuff like that. That's why they have all this work and stuff like that. They're not accessing the public because they're trying to go in and destroy artifacts or take them. Smithsonian, Doctrine of Discovery, so on and so forth.
Oh, not just Smithsonian.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it's a lot of
around the world.
Blackwater, all them. But
Vatican.
Yeah, I mean the Vatican is that's where the Smithsonian is directly, that's a faction out of them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the Jesuit Extreme Oath of Induction talks a whole lot about how, in the name of the bishop or the pope, which is people's Zeus or Caesar Borgia, which is a sodomite lover bleeding out of Da Vinci. Because when we study the Da Vinci Code, you start learning a lot of that shit out of order, out of place, and it's a book that these weirdos read or put out there as a form of whatever coded history, literature, Gnosticism, so on and so forth. Like that movie, Da Vinci's Angels and Demons and shit, which was talking about the Vatican. It was talking about certain books out of all kinds of shit, like the Nag Hammadi text, the Qumran text, some pieces out of the Dead Sea Scrolls, some portions out of the Book of Enoch, some portions out of the Book of Jasher. It's just pieces everywhere. Some pieces out of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, some pieces out of the Drifting Codex, Maya Codices, so on and so forth.
That was definitely Catholic.
I mean, yeah, but see,
They were
the Catholics. If I ask you who are the Catholics, right? That's the Spanish Inquisition acquisition, right? So they were the ones who helped funded a lot of Columbus's voyages. And how they said that this country or this nation was founded. Doctrine of Discovery, they found it, but when they came here, the Amerindian people that they found here was my people. See what I'm saying? They already inhabited. That's one reason through the African diaspora, the Black Boule. That's the real Illuminati. The pale hand are the puppets. They're like the dogs that they send out. You know what I'm saying? Those are the puppets. But the Black Boule, the Black Pope that people talk about, that they're talking. That's what they're in code. They're talking about. Russia had whole vaults on this stuff and started releasing stuff, even the Vatican. When they talk about the Madonna, which they say is the original Mother Mary and stuff like that, like that was one of the ways of introducing the original noble and royalty. You know what I'm saying, in the lands and stuff like that. So there was like, this is one reason they're doing a lot of this stuff. For one, to completely eradicate the remnant of our people. is one of the biggest reasons why they're doing this shit. Now everybody's getting hit in some type of way, um, in different ways. But you start seeing how a lot of shit is out of place. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the agents, the NSA towers, NSA buildings, like literally downtown Denver. One thing that got me was like, how the fuck you got this many goddamn cameras? And who the fuck is looking at all these motherfuckers? There's thousands of cameras every fucking way. Now, when I worked in the hospital, UCH Hospital, Denver Health, during that whole so-called, I call it pandemic genocide. You know what I'm saying? House arrest.
Pandemic.
Right. The whole house arrest situation. So when you go in there, you know what I'm saying, they give you a tour, whatever. When I got hired, the name of the manager was Chris. He hired me. I'm like, it's so quiet, you know what I'm saying? Like they said on the news, you know what I'm saying? Like the hospital's overflowing. He's like he's like the hospital's halfway empty. But they still
I knew plenty of people, yeah. I knew a lot of people who were like, no, we're completely dead. From them, not the news, not from online. They were like, no, we actually had less people.
But see, they were still in on the agenda. There's certain things that match why, but they look like they're trying to get other officers from other hospitals to come here.
And think about it. Where did all that facial recognition come in during this pandemic? Oh, it's to stop shoplifters. Huh? I think that shit's going to be used.
Well, that's
going to be used for AI. I bet you anything. Yeah.
A lot of this stuff after they've done it for their conditioning, very current people to get used to it. But that's part of the smart city surveillance. The smart visa tracking system.
Yep.
It's like China's social credit thing, all that shit, because it's a police state. It's a smart city.
Oh, Colorado.
It's a military police. So it's one of the biggest smart cities, actually one of the cheapest Illuminati beehives. This is literally they're all police, but that's why it has so many different entrances and accesses to the PA, to the hospital. They have all the reactors and all the hospitals.
I've heard the drilling. I've heard it.
Oh yeah.
Because I kept thinking, well, like, oh, they're doing construction at this time, and then I started hearing that people were hearing like talking about the drilling. I'm like, oh wait, I have heard that.
They have trains that go through the go to plus, not only just in the airport,
yeah, they've been building that airport for 30 some years.
I mean, this land for one, it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of to this land that when that fake KKK.
Look how long it takes to do construction projects here. They're putting in stuff. They're working overnight.
Oh yeah.
Look how long it took to do Wadsworth. For one street, that took how many years? 10, 12 years for one street?
What's the next bit?
It's a pit bull chihuahua.
You said a pit bull chihuahua?
Yeah, his mom is a bulldog. But his dad is a pit bull.
I've seen a pit bull chihuahuas before.
Really?
Yeah. I just don't even. I think about it.
I can think about it. Yeah, it's crazy.
I just go, how?
I know.
Like
so
what?
When I got him, they told me it was a pit bull. Oh, that's fine. Until later, they said, oh, that was like. Oh, no wonder. He has a small face. He barks like chihuahua.
He's as vicious as a chihuahua. Have a good one. Oh, that would be cool. See, that's cool. I like that. You wanted to be pet? Yeah, I've seen Chihuahua bulldogs. Or I mean, Chihuahua pit bulls. They look like little min pins. Dude, the funniest one I ever saw? No joke. Full, like the top of the body was lab.
Even I don't know. It's just a lot more to it because even with like she said, like these Shepherd
Uh-huh.
mixed with fucking coyote.
Yeah, I've seen it actually. Yeah. No, the one that I saw was a full lab body and corgi legs, complete corgi legs. He had a full lab body up top and then little corgi legs like that. It was the funniest thing I ever saw. You could tell it was lab, and you could tell those legs were corgi.
So I want you to talk a little bit more about your experience with the big like, because I'm gonna show you something.
Well, that's the weird thing. You hear that it's like an electrical hum. It's weird. It's like a crackle, like a static. And then there were these laser lights. That's how I lost my vision. That's how I had 20/20 vision until this happened. And these little, I closed my eyes, and the laser beams got through my eyes and did this. And it was, and you know what it was? It was not the Eye of Horus. I did find something of what it was. It's not the Eye of Horus, but it's very similar. I found it. And it was a laser light. It just did this, and I was holding my eyes like this.
That
took my vision.
that
Overnight.
that was part of the witchcraft. I mean, witchcraft.
I thought, you know what I was told that it was.
But that was part of your pineal. When you go into the brain, something that with the brain is a lot of the symbology they use is that. So there, that in the eye of Horus, as they call it, or the eye of
There was something else. So
that that is eye of Ra, eye of Horus. But what it is your pineal gland, because that's the symbol it looks like. Your pineal gland looks like.
I mean, it's exactly, and it was flashing like this, and it was either red or green, and then there was also red and blue lights, but they weren't laser lights. The first thing that I noticed,
They were trying to project. They were trying to project something.
oh, I saw it. I saw the things that they were projecting. Some of them looked real, like I mean real, and then others looked like a 1980s sort of technology, like in a horror movie or a sci-fi movie.
Okay, check this out.
Yeah, it was unreal, man.
Read some of these out loud.
I had perfect vision until the.
Before you do that, I'm going to
And everybody tells me, well, you know, when you get, you know, when you're in your late 40s, I said, no, this happened. I know exactly when it happened.
Yeah,
And I saw the laser.
It's always this, so you don't know what you're talking about.
But then when they started experiencing stuff themselves and hearing stuff, everybody just shuts up because it doesn't make sense. And then they just don't want to hear it.
Hold on, before you read that, that's one thing that I learned. Like when you know,
And there was a crackle. And you know what? There was this. I read about it. It would do this. It would be like it was. What do they call those? You know, like when you say you have something dusty or something, and the sunlight comes through, and you see the little particles.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a name for it. They would do this. You'd hear the crackle. You could feel you'd hear this, and it was like, oh no, and that's when the manifestation would happen. And all of a sudden, the little particles, it was like, everything was, oh no, and they would do this. They would go up, and then they would form, like I said, something looked like a hologram. That's what I was thinking. A hologram? A hologram. Everything was so real. It was incredible. No enemies. Yeah, it was around that. Well, I mean, it wasn't like, it wasn't knowledge. But when they ask, have you seen that when they ask like AI or Alexa or a system to draw, and you get these grotesque beings and stuff like that that they create? Those are some of the things, and my dog could see them. And then there was even the pastor that came, he couldn't figure out what was going on, and all the dogs in the neighborhood said, "You don't hear that?" And we said, "Hear what?" And they said, that it was like a screeching noise, and it was hurting my dog. All the dogs in the neighborhood were barking everywhere. He just kind of looked like this, like yeah. And he said, "Well, yeah." He goes, "Maybe they saw a rabbit or something." I said, "All the dogs all around the neighborhood saw one rabbit." He says, "I don't know." Yeah. shit. It was like, I should hear that though. And then, like, it would say, I'm not going to tell you like a lot of the shit that they told me. They didn't tell me to hurt anybody, anything like that. Nothing like that.
It was surprising me because I heard.
No, they didn't. They didn't say nothing.
I woke up in the middle of the night, even daytime, so like on Monday.
Yes. Yeah.
I heard say down right at the time, right then, they called the 911. I've always wondered why you call it 911.
Yeah.
So it's stuff that that's I've had some other somebody folks, I know what they got. Plus, the people who have videos who actually started going into the motherfuckers. And I know this shit. And being that, one day, I actually, and I'm sitting here, it's crazy, some same stuff. But I've been going through it for so long.
I've got a couple friends who are not the same thing.
I went to the sleep program for 14 years. When they tried to open up my medications, I've had fucking experience. Like, feel like knives in my side, sitting on the floor. So it neutralizes that.
Oh, I was like, dude, did you hear that? Sorry, I didn't get that. But I was like, what? Oh, yeah.
But
Especially that.
it's not even that, it's just the frequencies is kind of like if you've ever watched Justice League, the cartoons that talk about the mother boxes, the dark side, or whatever. You have parody of bringing the mother boxes to open up to apocalypse world where dark side rules and stuff and come from and stuff like that.
I was told by them, they said that they lied. They enjoyed this. But 33.3 megahertz. It was anything that was, I don't know how to describe
They
it.
go to 7 hertz, go to 4 hertz.
But they said 33 and a third hertz is like the magic. But again, they said that, and it seemed like I would hear these like this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's when I started doing the music.
What is this in a fucking waiting room? You know?
I was like sitting here going, yeah, commercial. You can hear what callers call in. And I was like my.
Yeah, those are the that's the one.
But I would hear that crackling. So when we got up right across the street, so I'd also hear knockings on the wall. Dude, no joke. I had my ex-brother-in-law come because I wanted him to get the dog because the dog was getting tortured. And I said, come up and get the dog, please. I said, please come get the dog.
Everything that you're talking about, pulsative manipulation of central
Yep.
nervous systems.
Yep.
And you got
There's a thing out there.
weapon with integrated target system to locate target damage, disrupts electronics, biological insurance, allows information to be remotely conveyed to subject via electromagnetic waves, voice control, remotely transmits completely the subject sound to target consciousness. That's what they call the voice of God weapon. Apparatus and method for remote monitoring, altering the target's brainwaves and central nervous system. So different manipulation subject emotions. You remotely direct audio waves. Remote neurological control via sets of low frequency waves beamed at brain. Transmits a sound to auditory cortex of mammals via remotely applied brainwave signals. Transmits sound to auditory cortex of mammals via remotely applied microwaves. Presents subliminal auditory information to the human remotely applied waves. Desired states of consciousness. Apparatus for audibly communicating speech using radio frequency hearing effect. Monitors words, phrases, and thoughts. The ventriloquist effect makes voices emanate from individuals who do not intend to realize it. So all these,
They already said that they have this. This was supposed to be so that they wouldn't be like a partner.
well,
That's in the 90s. But military people admitted that they could use that.
The world,
They've written a letter.
World Forum, something like that.
Some, but they,
Maybe it's
I found this out after.
So speaking of laser beams and holograms, part of COVID was the Project Movement, Project Hydra, Project Hypnotic, Project Stargate, Project Artichoke, Project Occupy, program for hunger games type shit. But it keep broadcasting the same thing because that's the ritual, the spell that you keep trying to chant. That's the same stuff like that. I think that what they call it, gonna help me.
Competitive.
Butterfly,
A mantra?
butterfly effect.
Okay.
Butterfly effect or Mandela effect.
Yeah, the Mandela effect.
So when you have that, it's like because I noticed the glitch on the news one time. They kept saying one thing for a minute, and it disappeared. They brought the same shit back. Like, wait a minute, we talked about this like 2 months ago. Why the fuck they saying the same shit now? And then just where you look at talking about this. Yeah, this shit super weird, man. Like, all the control from population. Yeah, I wanted that like you realize shit like dinosaurs and dragons and how why they do certain stuff, dragons extinguishes. Same thing, a lot of doing certain stuff. That one of the stuff, some of it was petrified, some of it was killed off. A lot of that went underground. We have stuff like 300 feet. We have bunkers that go 300 feet down. You know what I'm saying? Like we have,
I just didn't know. I just didn't know.
a lot of people have.
I was like, there's a construction.
They drill it, they do bomb the shit underground.
I didn't know it's supposed to be people. I heard it on the show. I've literally felt
I think people look at the streets and stuff too, because they're so hollow. And a lot of the reasons too, when they you know how they got poles in the streets, when they're poles, they say like measure certain stuff. One, they are getting out methane. But there's a lot of other shit. Like I told you, if they wanted to, they could blow up the entire city. Because they showed on National Geographic all the big ass tunnels and stuff like that, and gas and stuff like that. They wanted to blow up the entire city. It was right there, y'all. Geostorm. You ever seen that movie Geostorm? Well, you need to watch that movie. So long story short, it showed a scene like that where the fire and shit coming out, the manholes blowing up this entire city. Geostorm is part of this
is that a
whole.
regular Hollywood movie or is it
It's a regular Hollywood role. I
was it
think
like it?
I think it's I know I think it part of me thinks it's independent, but I think part of it's Hollywood too. Either way, there were started exposing so much. They're exposing like the aliens, what looking at studying definitions of words, where they come from. But here's the thing though. One thing that's weird and no one has called man-made is man-made. Again, going back to spiritual warfare or hidden warfare.
I saw that.
There's all kinds of creatures. There's people who eat people. There's a guy who I talk to all the fucking
You
time.
wouldn't believe the shit that I saw.
Look, you can't, there's nothing that you can tell me that would surprise me.
Terrifying.
Nothing.
They were what now they do the job. I didn't even know about that.
Well, what hell is and what hell.
I mean, I would say, like they had them do. Those were the creatures, and my dog could see those creatures, and he'd sit there and do this, he like this. And at one point, I had a cat too, and you know what? Everything was fine, right? All of a sudden, they both were laying on the bed next to me. The cat and their eyes did this, and like the dog went, his hackles went up. Like, I mean, look at that. I can still remember it, dude. And guess what they did? They did this, and they both followed the same shit at the same time. They knew. I'm not kidding you. You don't like me. Get this. So let's do this. So I hated my next door neighbors, right? But we were cool because they had a dog that loved my guy, right? So she was a bitch. She was from my life. She was a bitch. And we called her in the yard. We just try to be cordial, right? She says, "Hey, can I ask you something?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, "Did you ever hear like there's a video coming?" And I said, "Nope." I wasn't going to tell her. I just said no. I said, "What do you?" She says, "Really?" Hell, no.
I would think
No, I wouldn't. No. You wouldn't tell her anything. I thought she was. I thought she was saying that. I thought that their grandson he was in some kind of like electronic device or something like that. You know what I mean? I thought they were like to make me seem crazy. She was like, or her husband, and I was just like, no. And she says, and that worried look on her face. She says, "I don't think so crazy." She goes, especially for like she goes, "I make sure everything's turned on with this." You know, she goes, "Oh, he didn't know." Shit. She says, "It's true. It sounded like he was coming from the house." But that's what the else was in the sink, in the bathrooms, and the sink in the kitchen. And I'm sitting there like this. I'm like, okay, I hope she. And she looks so worried. She goes, "You think so nuts?" And I'm thinking, "You are." And you're like,
you're fucking nuts.
you're like, kind of do. So, that's the worst. But hell no, it wasn't. I thought she was
In
asking.
your mind, it's a full different situation.
Oh man, right away I started calling everybody. I said, "I told you." I said, "You're doing something here. Something's going on." I said, "Because that crazy ass bitch was here and shit." Then the nights when my brother-in-law came up to take the dog, right? We were hearing thumpings and stuff, and he says, because he's very analytical, he says, "Oh, it's windy or something." I go outside, no wind, no wind at all. Well, maybe just the tree branches are falling. I said, "On the side of the house." I said, "They're hitting the sides." Dude, yeah, guess what? And I look outside, my neighbor across the street, he's doing this because we had a problem. We have he's out there with a he's got a flashlight. He's doing all and he didn't talk to me. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but he was looking at the same time the shit was happening to me. That wasn't just my imagination. And then you know what they told me? They told me between 3 and 4. And I do believe, huh? That's demonic out. I was told, I won't go, I'm not going to tell you, but I was, oh, I have these, I haven't told, I really did, I was told that the devil was mad, pissed off, I just, what do you say, I wouldn't do what he wanted to do myself. That's what it hurt. That's what he said. So he was going to tell me that at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I go into my ex-brother-in-law, well, I was in the other bedroom, so in my bed, and I said, "Wait," I said, "You hear that?" And it was walking on the roof like something fucking huge, right? And I said, he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "I fucking told you." I said, he says, "Is somebody up?" I looked out, and nobody's up on the roof. Nobody's on the fucking roof.
I'm gonna be on the roof at this time of day.
He was like, you should see his face. It's like, and I said, "I told you that I was supposed to. This number, with this, not the number 19, the number 19. I don't know if it means anything to you." Number 19. Dude, guess what? My mother and my grandmother owned 19 miles apart. I had my car for 19 years before somebody destroyed it. I lived in number 19. They took the price down from $27,000 $19,000 is what they sold me for. 19 comes up over from even my mom is studying receiver shit. She said, there's the number 19. They have talked that over and over and over.
You need to study.
Look at look.
I can see the fucking goose. You got that goosebumps.
I got that.
I think you ever heard of Steve Jackson? So when they talk about all these events that were from 9/11, all that stuff, and he was like, how is this stuff, 10 years in the making, or 10, 15 years, before this, that's because the witchcraft they used.
And I was told it was witchcraft. I was actually told what they had used. It was my so they maybe it was weird how she said it about her. And I was like, she's like, I'm like,
It's a way that we try to get permission. And that was the way to enter in or agreement in contract.
Yeah,
That's
it was
that,
weird.
that's that.
It was bizarre. And they're like, are you sure you're not? And I was like, I was told she was part. Dude, there was all sorts of weird shit that happened. I knew my cousin was gonna die. She wouldn't get up to the time. It's all good for us.
I'm not surprised. But
It takes a little bit of a good was.
yeah, that sounds like something that
She's not her daughter. She got her. So her husband was not able to go off of her life. She's 15 years old. She cut her out and she got pissed. She said, just go with just my